Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are going to be continuing to read Dream Days. I do have a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit weird, that is why. Also the usual reminder of there is currently a poll up to determine which book is to be read next. In the poll there is the Iliad, the Golden Age and Pym. So far Golden Age is winning, but if you would like to have your say, be sure to go and check out the community tab and put your vote in there. But otherwise, let's continue. There isn't any more of that story, said the man, kindly but firmly. At least not tonight. Now be off. Goodbye. Wonder if it's all true, said Charlotte, as we hurried up the path. Sounded dreadfully like nonsense in parts. Perhaps it's true for all that, I replied encouragingly. Charlotte bolted in like a rabbit, out of the cold and the dark, but I lingered a moment in the still, frosty air for a backward glance at the silent white world without, ere I changed it for the land of firelight and cushions and laughter. It was the day for choir practice, and carol time was at hand, and a belated member was passing homewards down the road, singing as he went. Then St. George, he made reverence, in the stable so dim, O vanquished the dragon, so fearful and grim. So grim and so fierce. I think this is meant to be a song and I'm not singing it. That now may we say all, peaceful is our waking, on Christmas Day. Well, that was terrible. I'm so sorry for that. The singer receded, the carol died away, but I wondered with my hand on the door latch whether that was the song or something like it that the dragon sang as he toddled contentedly up the hill. A departure. It is a very fine thing to be a real prince. There are points about a pirate chief, and to succeed to the captaincy of a robber band is a truly magnificent thing. But to be an heir has also about it something extremely captivating. Not only a long-lost heir, an heir of the melodrama, strutting into your hitherto unsuspected kingdom at just the right moment, loaded up with the consciousness of unguessed merit, and of rights so long feloniously withheld, but even to be a common humdrum domestic heir is a profession to which few would refuse to be apprenticed. To step from leading strings and restrictions and one glass of port after dinner into property and liberty and due appreciation, saved up, polished and varnished, dusted and laid in lavender, all expressly for you. Why, even the princedom and the robber captaincy, when their anxieties and responsibilities are considered, have hardly more to offer. And so it will continue to be a problem to the youth in whom ambition struggles with a certain sensuous appreciation of life's side dishes, whether the career he is called upon to select out of the glittering knickknacks that strew the counter had better be that of an heir or an engine driver. In the case of eldest sons, this problem has a way of solving itself. In childhood, however, the actual heirship is apt to work on the principle of the Borough English, of our happier ancestors, and in most cases of inheritance it is the youngest that succeeds. Where the res is angusta, and the weekly books are simply a series of stiff hurdles at each of which, in succession, the paternal legs falter with growing suspicion of their powers to clear the flight. It is in the affair of clothes that the right of succession tells, and the hard air strides about the land, in trousers long ago framed for fraternal limbs. Frondes novas et non sua poma. I'm so sorry. A bitter thing indeed. Of those pretty silken threads that knit humanity together, high and low, past and present, none is tougher, more pervading or more iridescent than the honest, simple pleasure of new clothes. It tugs at the man as it tugs at the woman. The smirk of the well-fitted prince is no different from the smirk of the Sunday-clad peasant, and the veins of the elders tingle with the same thrill that sets their fresh-frocked grandchildren skipping. Never trust people who pretend that they have no joy in their new clothes. Let not our souls be wrung, however, at contemplation of the luckless urchin cut off by paternal penury from the rapture of new clothes. Just as the heroes of his dreams are his immediate seniors, so his heroes' clothes share the glamour, and the reversion of them carries a high privilege. A special thing not sold by Swears and Wells. The sword of Galahad, and many other hero, arrived on the scene already hoary with history, and the boy rather prefers his trousers to be legendary, famous, haloed by his hero's renown, even though the nap may have altogether vanished in the process. But, putting clothes aside, there are other matters in which this reversed heirship comes into play. Take the case of toys. It is hardly right or fitting, and in this the child quite acquiesces, that as he approaches the reverend period of 9 or say 10 years, he should still be the unabashed and proclaimed possessor of a hoop and a Noah's Ark. The child will quite see the reasonableness of this, and the goal of his ambition being now a catapult, a pistol, or even a sword stick, will be satisfied that the titular ownership should lapse to his juniors, so far below him in their kilted or petticoated incompetence. After all, the things are still there, and if relapses of spirit occur on wet afternoons, one can still nominally borrow them and be happy on the floor as of old, without the reproach of being a habitual baby toy caresser. Also, one can pretend it's being done to amuse the younger ones. None of us, therefore, grumbled when, in the natural course of things, the nominal ownership of the toys slipped down to Harold, and from him in turn devolved upon Charlotte. The toys were still there. They always had been there, and always would be there, and when the nursery door was fast shut, there were no kings or queens or first estates in that small republic on the floor. Charlotte, to be sure, chin-tilted, at last an owner of real estate, might patronize a little at times, but it was tacitly understood that her title was only a drawing-room one. Why does a coming bereavement project no thin, faint voice, no shadow of its woe, to warn its happy, heedless victims? Why cannot Olympians ever think it worth while to give some hint of the thunderbolts they are silently forging? And why, oh why, did it never enter any of our thick heads that the day would come when even Charlotte would be considered too matronly for toys? One's so-called education is hammered into one with rulers and with canes. Each fresh grammar or musical instrument, each new historical period or quaint arithmetical rule, is impressed on one by some painful physical prelude. Why does time, the biggest schoolmaster, alone neglect premonitory raps at each stage of his curriculum, on our knuckles or our heads? Uncle Thomas was at the bottom of it. This was not the first mine he had exploded under our bows. In his favourite pursuit of fads, he had passed in turn from physical research to the White Rose and thence to a children's hospital, and we were being daily inundated with leaflets headed by a woodcut depicting little Annie of Poplar, sitting up in her little white cot, surrounded by the toys of the nice, kind, rich children. The idea caught on with the Olympians, always open to a sentiment of a treacly woodcut order, and accordingly Charlotte, on entering one day, dishevelled and panting, having been pursued by yelling redskins up to the very threshold of our peaceful home, was curtly informed that her French lessons would begin on Monday, that she was henceforth to cease all pretence of being a trapper or a redskin on utterly inadequate grounds, and moreover that the whole of her toys were at that moment being finally packed up in a box for dispatch to London, to gladden the lives and bring light into the eyes of London waifs and poplar Annies. Oh, and we've come to the end of the episode there. Another reminder, if you want to have a say in which book we read next, be sure to go and check the community tab and put your vote in between the Iliad Golden Age and Pym. But otherwise, I shall say thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.